Okay, this is some more problems from section 4.5, more graphing, and this is going to be number 15, and the function was y equals negative sine of 2/3 x. 2/3 x. So we have to figure out the period. So remember, this is b, so the period equals this very important formula, 2 pi divided by b, which is 2 pi divided by 2/3. So I could invert and multiply, so that would be like, I guess I'll do it down here, 2 pi times, and 2 pi divided by 2/3 is like 2 pi times 3/2. And the 2's cancel, so I end up with 3 pi. Alright, so that's my period, 3 pi. And my amplitude is just 1, so that's not too bad. So when I set this up, I'll call this 1. And this -1, that's give me a little room there. Now I can't use the scale up here because I can't do 3 pi because that would be off the charts. So I'll maybe call this pi, 2 pi, and 3 pi. Okay? Alright. So my period's 3 pi. Now here's the problem. I've got to take this, and this is going to be 2 pi. And this is going to be pi. Now I have to take this interval and I have to divide it into 4 equal parts. Remember, we always do that, 4 subsections. Alright? But since my period is 3 pi, it's going to be a little bit odd to do that, so I have to use a little bit of fractions and figure this out. So if I divide this in half, it's going to be right here. Okay, so what's the point that's right between 1 pi and 2 pi? Well, it would be 1 1/2 pi, right? Or 3/2 pi. So that's right between. Okay? Now if you look on your unit circle, that's 270 degrees, see, so it's a little odd. Okay? So that's 3/2 pi, and now I have to subdivide this between here and here. Well, it's real easy. We could just take half of that, and that would be 3 pi over 4. And think about it. How many degrees is this? 3 pi over 2 is 270 degrees, so half of that would be 135 degrees. And that's 3 pi over 4. So I'm going to have to eyeball that, and that's going to be halfway between there and there, so I just have to not let that bother me there, because it's going to be a force, so that'd be like this. Actually, I should almost even erase these, because these will be distracting me. Should have put them in pen. So I'd say probably, I can't look at that, so I should say about right there. So that's probably going to be 3 pi over 4. That's about the middle there. 3 pi over 4. And then again, I've got to go in the middle here, which is about there. And if I add to that, what's that going to be? If I add another 3 pi over 4, this is going to be like 3 pi over 4. And then this would be like 6 pi over 4. Okay? 3 pi, 6 pi, 9 pi over 4 probably. And this would be 12 pi over 4, which is 3 pi. So that works like that. So you figure that out with your fractions. So those are my 4 subdivisions. My amplitude is 1, but it's negative. So again, I'll start here with my 0. So here would be my zeros. There's 1 0. Remember, we talked about those zeros being right in the middle, so there's 1 3 5. And then this would be normally 1, but it's going to be negative 1 because it's a negative. So this goes down here. And this normally would be -1, but it's a negative, so it's going to be +1. So there you go. And getting these subdivisions is kind of important, because it really puts everything in scale. Let's get that like right around there. And there you go. Something like that. Okay? So you see there's 3 pi, and half of that would be 3 pi over 2, and then half of that would be 3 pi over 4, and then I'd have to add. And then you look at the increments. 0, 3 pi over 4, 6 pi over 4, 9 pi over 4, and 12 pi over 4 is the same thing as 3 pi. Okay? That was kind of a tough one. Okay, so kind of think about that one. That's very challenging. Got to kind of split that 3 pi into 4 parts. That's a hard one. Hope that helps.